Hello YouTube, this is Asatsu5. This was gonna be an unboxing, but didn't work out. This is the Lord of the Rings Two Towers playing cards from King's Wild Project, and I must say I'm very pleased with it. I originally did an unboxing video, and the camera wasn't focusing on the court cards. So it's hard just to upload it and be like, hey, look what I got, this super cool thing, but you can't see what's going on. And that's partly to do with this camera. It doesn't like to focus on things being held. But let's try it again. And I'm actually watching The Hobbit right now. I was watching The Hobbit when these came in, and I paused The Hobbit, did the video, and then some other things happened. And I was watching the video, and I wasn't happy with the video, and I still haven't finished The Hobbit Unexpected Journey. Anyways, this is how I expected the Fellowship box to look, to be the Red Book of Westmarch. But yeah, let's take a look at it. Something I like about these Lord of the Ring cards is that they have the map of Middle-earth in the box. Don't know why I just coughed. Well, I kind of know. I just got finished tending to my bees. But you got the map on the inside. It's a cool little detail. These are the gold foil edition. There's the, let's see, there's the serial number. And you got this card, this random card right here that's just front and back. See if I can get it to focus. I'm probably going to have to use my offhand to manually focus. But yeah, it's just front and back, the same thing. And as your Joker cards, you got Grima Wormtongue. And you get a lot of memes in the Lord of the Rings pages on Facebook and stuff. It's like, you know, next time you hire someone, make sure their name isn't Wormtongue. That might be a good tip-off of their character. And I just want to point out that the word worm in the archaic form of English refers to dragon. And yes, there was a spelling difference, but I think that in both Tolkien refers to worm as W-O-R-M as to a dragon as well. So, you know, usually when you spell worm and it's referring to a dragon, it's like W-R-Y-M, I think. But yeah, so I think that this guy's name could have literally been Dragon Tongue, but just spelled in the archaic, or with the archaic word worm for it. And then you got Shadowfax, and I'm going to try to go through these. You got Gandalf the White. This is supposed to be Super Saiyan Lady Galadriel, as I like to refer to her in this state. There was Gimli. And these are going to be your club number cards. And you can see they're reflective. They're shiny. Now this, I don't know what this is supposed to be. I don't know if it's upside down. It shouldn't be upside down. This should be right side up. But I don't know what that's supposed to be. I don't think it's Sauron, but maybe the Flame Varner. Alright, and then you got King Theoden, who's one of the most awesome speech givers in Lord of the Rings. I love his speech that he gives, and it's not quite plagiarism, but Tolkien got a good bit of his speech from a Norse saga, a poem. I'll have to look up which specific one, if it's the Younger Edda or the Elder Edda or whatever it is. I know he got the names for the dwarves and Gandalf from the Younger Edda. And I think this might come from the same written work, his speech. You got the Shield Maiden, Arwen, or Erwin. I always get them confused. And then you got Elmer, and I'm sure I'm not pronouncing his name perfectly because of my speech impediment. And then this, I'm assuming this is Glamdring, because I think, and it appears to be glowing blue, so that would be a reference to Gandalf's sword Glamdring. I think Aragorn's sword is in the Fellowship. I can't remember exactly, but I think Alindir or Narsil is in Fellowship. So I think this is Glamdring, which is interesting. They reference Glamdring being the king of Gondolin's sword, which I think is Thingol is his name. I'd have to look that up. I might annotate that in. But yeah, you could actually buy the book on the fall of Gondolin, and they got several iterations of the evolution of the story of Gondolin, and it's very detailed, and that's a pretty cool book. And you get to know the players in the fall of Gondolin, and Legolas is in the fall of Gondolin. Legolas was at Gondolin when it fell, so that I always thought that was interesting. And so, you often see memes where it says Legolas is so many thousand years old. Gondolin was in the first age, if I remember correctly. So yeah, Legolas is old, and he's not as old as his father, and he's not as old as he's definitely not as old as Elrond or Galadriel. Galadriel is old, predates the sun and the moon. So we got right here Treebeard. And then, I can't remember how to pronounce her name, but it's Thaldarin. This is one of the Entwives. More specifically, this is Treebeard's wife. And I know I have a card right here. It's gonna be Flimberthil. Good luck pronouncing that. I'll just show that on camera, and you can decide how to pronounce that. And I'm going to have to click on the touchscreen. Yeah, that's Flimberthil. That's Treebeard's long-lost wife. And that's why there's no younger Entlings or Ent children. Is because they lost the Entwives, and they don't know what happened to them. Some theorize that they were kidnapped and forced to work on Sauron's garden, but who knows? Got Merry and Pippin, the two movers and shakers of the Ents. Pretty cool characters. Now, if you were going to categorize this next suit or set, these cards are air cushioned and very slippery, and I don't want to lose them. So I already lost one of my playing cards from Fellowship. I got a couple or 3 decks of Fellowship, and one of the playing decks that it's not necessarily special or gilded or anything. Isn't really. I lost one of the cards to him, and I'm disappointed. This is Saruman, not Sauron, but Saruman, and he has the Palantir. This, I would have to guess, is the Vial of Galadriel. It doesn't say on the cheat sheet, but if I had to guess, that's what it is. And the reason why I think that is, one, it looks like a light of some sort, but also you got Shelob as the queen, and Shelob is a giant spider, a spawn of Ingoliant. If you don't know, Ingoliant is the mother or ancestor of all the giant spiders, and Ingoliant was kind of a demonic figure that took the form of a spider. And Ingoliant and Morgoth attacked the trees of Valinor and destroyed the trees of Valinor, and the whole world was in darkness for a while, and then the gods created the sun and moon, and that's why Galadriel predates the sun and moon is because she lived back when the trees of Valinor were the main sources of light. They lit up the world. You had one tree for daylight, and then you'll kind of have another moon that kind of represented the moonlight, if you will. And Ungoliant helped Morgoth destroy those trees, and Morgoth stole the Silmarils. And Ungoliant wanted the Silmarils, but Morgoth wouldn't give it to her. And, and I'm basically getting into Silmarillion right now. But this is Shelob, and supposedly the only person to ever wound Shelob was Sam Gamgee, total badass of the Shire. And then you got Gollum. And I like that they did a very different animation of Gollum compared to the movies. I mean, I love how they portray Gollum in the movies, and I think it's like the Gollum that I think of. But it's nice that if you notice through all of these artworks on these court cards, they're not carbon copies of the Peter Jackson movies, and I like that. But I don't quite understand why he has a staff. I don't think Gollum is ever portrayed with a staff in any other depiction. But Gollum has an interesting history, and Gollum is an interesting dude, or Smeagol, if you want to call him by his given name, or given name from his parents. He's Smeagol, and he got corrupted by the One Ring, and he did a bunch of terrible things. Now, this is the Ace of Clubs, and let me focus in on this. This is the Palantir, and this is apparently going to be the Palantir of Orthanc, and what Pippin gets a hold of. And then this is your cheat sheet card that tells you what the court cards are. So you got Gandalf the White, Galadriel, Gimli. You got King Theoden, Arwen, Eomer. You got Saruman, Shelob, Gollum, and Treebeard, however you say that name, and Pippin and Merry. But yeah, I'm a big Lord of the Rings fanboy. I'm gonna go out and say I'm not a Lord of the Rings fanboy. I'm a Middle Earth fanboy. So I'm not strictly Lord of the Rings. I like The Hobbit, and I like the Silmarillion. Not as big of a fan of Adventures of Tom Bombadil, but I accept it as part of the world of Middle Earth. But I like Forgotten Tales of Numenor, or Lost Tales of Numenor. I can't remember what it's called. And I like the standalone books, Baron of Luthien, Fall of Gondolin, Children of Húrin. Like, that universe is like the ultimate fantasy universe to me, and I just love it. Now, something that I thought was interesting in the Fellowship deck of cards, they had Luthien, and Luthien does not appear in Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. Luthien is in the Silmarillion and in their standalone book, Baron and Luthien, and it's just interesting that they put her in that deck. And I'm kind of hoping, at least with the next deck, if they continue with the series, which I hope they do, I hope they put Baron in the Return of the King deck. To me, it would be kind of a disservice to have Luthien, but not Baron. Anyways, just to kind of point something out, Aragorn or Strider and Arwen are cousins. They're both related to Baron and Luthien, who eventually give birth to Elrond and Elwyn, and then they split off into elf and human. But they're related, and that's kind of fun or interesting to think about. And and what that means to me is that Um, the houses of men and elf is supposed to um, join only a few times. There's Baron and Luthien, and I think there was another one, Melon and something, I can't remember. And then there was going to be Arwen and Aragon, and that's supposed to be the only interminglings of elf and men. But the Rings of Power series is trying to imply that there was other unions between elf and men, and that's not canon. So that a lot of people like to hate on the Rings of Power series. I'm going to continue to watch it because I love the universe, and it'll be interesting how they portray things. But like when I first watched Rings of Power, I was like, okay, this is fun, this is entertaining, it's fun seeing how they portray things. And it's like one of those things, it's like the more you think about it, the worse it gets. And so I'm normally one of those people who don't think too much about the movies he's watching. I'm just like, hey, I'm here for the story, I'm here for the show, I'm going to enjoy myself. And that's how I was with Rings of Power. But people started pointing out things, and then I watched this whole season the third time. I was like, there was some potential issues here. But, like I said, I'm going to continue watching Rings of Power until it just goes completely crazy. Yeah, I'm a big fan of Middle-earth and Tolkien. I've read some of Tolkien's non-Middle-earth related things, and they're not as good, but they are good. I guess my second favorite story from Tolkien is Farmer Giles. But yeah, there's the deck of cards. It's going in my Matham case, and I will show you my Matham case. So check this out. Okay, starting at the top of my Matham case, I got the full volume of Lord of the Rings, The Fall of Numenor, The Hobbit, The Silmarillion, and a few other things like my Taekwondo trophy that I fear is a participation trophy, but they told me I got first place, so who knows. Now that I know that participation trophies are a thing, I can't trust any of the awards I got in the past. But you see, I got the 75th anniversary Hobbit dust cover, or dust jacket, and that's supposed to be a facsimile of how Tolkien had his first edition dust jacket for The Hobbit. There's one of the first books that I repaired, and it's a B book. It's an antique B book. It's like from 1914, I think. Either 1914 or 1910, and I'm not getting two books confused. But then I got my Gillette Aristocrat, and that's a gold-plated luxury razor at the time. That right there is vintage or antique sutures, medical equipment. And then I got my vintage cameras. I got some notable rums, some vintage rod and reels. I actually fished with that behemoth right there. That's, I think, I was told it was a 12-aught, but I think it might be something different than a 12-aught. It no longer works, but I caught one of my first sharks on that one. And then I got a book that I really enjoyed. Then here, I got some vintage or antique books. I got Victor Hugo's, Hunchback of Notre Dame. I got Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. That book right there, the beige book, is a beautiful Walther and Mauser book that shows diagrams of them being disassembled and stuff, and has a bunch of different. It's more or less for collectors, and it's a beautiful book. Has awesome end papers. It's gilded, awesome stuff, and I put it in there. Then I got my Robin Hood, Beowulf, and my two Lord of the Rings decks of cards. There's some scotch and brandy in a Cuban stock cigar box. Then right here is 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. That's my other antique book. and I haven't repaired it yet, but I'm probably not going to read it. It's more of a display piece. Got the Rolls Razor, Herbertus knife. Then I got a few knives right here, like my Sakatripas, Cold Steel Mini Gorka Kukri, and the Blackjack, which is kind of a representative of the Randall made Model 1-7. But yeah, this is what I refer to as my Matham case. And a Matham is a object, it's a Hobbit term, and it's basically a curio. It's something they don't have an immediate use for, but they don't really want to get rid of it. And the Hobbits had Mathams that they hung up on the wall. You know, something that would be a Matham for a Hobbit would be a sword, because they had really no use for swords. They were not a combative people, and they would just hang them up. And it was a Matham. They had no use for it, but they didn't want to get rid of it. Sometimes they would give Mathams to each other for birthday gifts. And they had a Matham museum in Delving. And as soon as I get a good bookshelf, I'll put those books on the bookshelf along with my other books. But right now, this is kind of my display piece. And I really enjoyed putting it together. So that's it. I'm a Satsu 5, and I'm out.